right, welcome back. We are going to be starting on week 12. This week, you're just going to have a short little lecture that just goes over what we're going to be doing. As you can see, you cannot see my face in the video down here. I did that on purpose just because I've been still working on house projects and nobody needs to actually see me right now. So it's going to be pretty short. So first things first, you are going to have just a couple of readings to do. The first one is going off of the topic of where do I want to go, because you're kind of starting the whole topic of, the road beyond. So we're kind of past now where we've talked about goals. We've talked about a lot of different topics that are or you get to kind of examine yourself. And now we're kind of moving into careers and interests and where is it that I want to go from here? And it's not only just about your career, it can be about life as well. And so when we click on this first reading here, I'm going to wait for it to pop up. You're going to see that once it all gets loaded up, you're going to see that as you do the little reading here, you're going to have some more of the Road Trip Nation video to watch, where you're going to be basically following Melanie, Armand, and Becca. And they're kind of specifically talking about where it is that they want to go, talking about themselves, things that have been important to them and what it is that they want to do basically and where it is that they want to go from here. And so it's called Say Your Dream Out Loud. So you do need to watch this first before you complete the next exercise that comes after this. So after you watch the video here, we'll pop back over to the first exercise that you're going to be doing for this week. Give this just a second to load up. Okay, so the first exercise that you're going to be doing is called Elements of Your Life Story. And it does kind of follow along with what was in the video there for Road Trip Nation that you should have just watched before you get to this part. So what you're going to see here is that you have, it's kind of lengthy, but what I would suggest is either copy and paste this whole thing into the text entry box or into a Microsoft Word document, and then just basically start with the first one, read through the directions on the first one, and then go ahead and answer it. And then that way, it just doesn't look overwhelming as you're trying to read all of this and then figure out how you're going to type it all up. So it's basically asking you to reflect on and write your answers to each of these following questions. So you have 6 different questions essentially that you're going to be answering, and you need to just try to be as specific. You want to provide details because this is about you. It's about you, role models, high points, life challenges, your turning point, sociocultural aspect, and then dreams, hopes, and plans for the future. So try to be, descriptive. This would be a time to be thorough and really kind of talk about yourself, analyze yourself with each of these questions as you're reading through it. So, what I put down here that is important too is that after you complete this, something that could be helpful for you when it comes time to write your final paper at the very end of the semester is some of this information that you actually put into this exercise. So that's why I was saying be specific, try to be detailed, because you can actually use some of this information on your final paper. So keep this in mind when it comes time to write your final paper, that some of the things that you may choose to talk about in your final paper, you can basically use some of this information that you already wrote to kind of help you along. So keep this, and you're also going to be taking an assessment this week as well that you can also use for information on your final paper also, and we're going to get to that in just a second. So I did just put that down here so you're kind of aware that this could be very helpful to you after you answer all of these to use that on your final paper. And like I said, it's probably just easiest if you just want to copy all of this and then paste it into the text entry box and then just answer one at a time and just kind of go through the first one, answer it, and do it that way. And then you're not having to go back and forth and everything, and you'll have all of the questions right there since they are kind of lengthy and they're asking you for a lot of specific information. So when you answer that, each one of these is going to be worth 2 points each. So answering them in full, if you skip one or whatnot, it's going to be automatically 2 points off, etc. And let me go back real quick, and you're going to have one other short little area where you have some reading to do. Maybe, I guess I didn't click on it very well. So wait for that to load up for a second. All right, and so here you have the next section for reading is what am I looking for? So when we click on that there, it has some good information here that is talking about, yes, some of you already do know what your path is, what career you want to go into, but sometimes what a lot of people find out is that there can be certain possibilities or things that can happen along the way that maybe even if you get into the career, you may find at some point that it's not what you thought it was going to be, or maybe something else comes up that for some reason makes that career either no longer sustainable or not attainable in the first place. And sometimes it's good to do research. It's good to do like the assessments that we do in this class to find out about other interests and other things that could be just as valuable to you, and maybe something that later on down the line, if you decide that maybe this career choice that you went into wasn't what you thought it was going to be or anything like that, you actually have some ideas of some things that you really felt strongly about that could have been good alternative, career paths that you could go on. And that's why we do these assessments. Even if you have already chosen your major, it's still really good to be able to see some of this information and be able to, keep that in mind as something that, maybe you didn't even know could have been a potential possibility of something that you could do for a job. And those of you that haven't chosen a major, of course, these kind of assessments that we do in this class, they can be very helpful because it sometimes can help you narrow down some areas that, you may not have even really thought about a career path, but once you kind of look at these things that some of these assessments narrow down, it actually gives you some ideas of things that you can look at and actually get more specific with certain career paths that you could then research them and try to get more information to see if they're a right fit for you. So as it's saying here, you must do some research. So we do the interest survey, which is the super strong assessment that you're going to be doing right after this. And it's a really cool assessment. It is not as long as the student success profile that you did on the Vita Navis website. It's much, much shorter. You still need to do the same thing. You want to try to answer all of the questions. You want to try to answer them the best that you can. I don't think this one is quite as odd as the other one with some of the questions. So it's going to be really specifically honing in on career interests. And it has, when you get your results at the end, it has several sections that basically gives you some really detailed information that could be helpful to you if you were ever interested in just an alternative plan in case things didn't work out in your career path. But for those of you that haven't chosen a major, it's going to give you a lot of good information in different areas on your results that could at least kind of show you the direction that you might want to try to research and try to find out more information about certain careers. And then it goes into, you're going to do the reading here about doing a video interview, because let's say that you are interested in a career path, but you want more information about it. Let's say you maybe even want to try asking someone who's either in that career field or even one of your professors who has worked in that career field before. You could technically do an interview with them where you can get more information, firsthand knowledge from someone that has been in that field. And that's really valuable because they can give you some really good insights. And that's something that you could do on your own. We're not specifically going to be doing a video interview or an in-person interview for this class, but we have you read over this because this is something that you could do if you ever, have a professor that is in a field that you're interested in and you want more information. You could most certainly always ask them if you can essentially interview them to try to get some more information, to try to, just essentially pick their brain and try to get anything that you can that's going to give you a better view of what that career path could mean, or even some other opportunities within that career field that you maybe had never even thought of. So read over this, even though we're not doing a specific assignment for this part with the interview, but we are going to be doing the interest survey, which you're going to see here next. So I'm going to go back real quickly and we're just going to kind of very briefly go over that. And then that's going to be it for this week. It's kind of getting a little bit shorter and shorter each week because we're leading up to where you're going to start preparing for your paper. And then that very last presentation that you have to do, which is essentially your individual presentation. So that's not one that you're going to do as a group. You're just going to do your individual one. So it's pretty much from here on out is going to be starting to prep for that. which is why I said to keep some of this information from elements of your life story, because that can help you on your final paper if you need more things to kind of discuss in your paper. So the super strong assessment, when you click on this activity here, apparently I'm not doing a very good job of clicking. Okay, there we go. So it's going to be kind of the same thing. It's on the Vita Navis website. So you're going to want to use the same email and login that you used for the student success profile. So you're going to use the same exact email and login. You're going to click on this link here and it's going to take you to the Vita Navis website. I checked it. It did let me in and it said the access code was accepted. So hopefully nobody has issues with it this week. And then after you finish the assessment and you submit it and you get a results page, what you're going to want to do for this assignment, you're going to want to basically copy these 5 questions and then paste it into the text entry box or paste it into a Microsoft Word document. You're going to want to answer each of these questions specifically based off of the results that you get from the super strong assessment. So you have to be looking at your results as you're answering these questions. And then also, when you submit this, after you've answered all of these, you also just take a screenshot of that very first page of your results page from your super strong assessment, just like you did for the student success profile. So you're going to basically be uploading this where you answer the questions, all 5 of them, and then you're going to be uploading a screenshot of the very first page of your, oh my gosh, I'm totally forgetting the super strong assessment. I was about to say the student success profile, the super strong assessment. So you just need that very first page when it starts giving you some of that information that you're supposed to read through at the very end after you submit your answers. Just take a screenshot of that very first page so I can see some of the results that you got on there. And then that's what you're going to be turning in for this one. Keep this information from your results page handy. If you can print it off and keep it so that way you might be able to use some of that information on your final paper, I highly recommend that. Or if you can save it to your computer somehow where you maybe don't even necessarily have to log in every time you want to look at it, but where you can save it and then you can use it as just a resource for your paper, that would be really great. It would be helpful to you because you'd have more information to include in your paper to make your paper more thorough. So that's just my recommendation there. And so each one of these is worth 5 points each, which sounds like a lot, but you're doing that as well as the screenshot of the first page of your results. So try to be specific with some of these questions so that way, a lot of it is asking you for very specific information from your results page. So make sure you read through those results before you get started with this. You kind of understand what it is telling you, and then you answer these questions. All right. And then other than that for this week, you just have the health and wellness bonus points. If you're wanting to do that, just click on that link just like you have been before and just get that information uploaded there. And that is it pretty much for week 12 as we go into that. If you have any questions this week or if anyone is still having some issues with power outages, I totally understand. I'm just trying to work with it. The university is kind of keeping us, up to date with the area and what's going on. But for last week in week 11, you do still have until Wednesday to try to get that assignments turned in. You have a few extra days where you're not going to get a late deduction on that. And then just this information for this week, these assignments that you're doing for this week are going to be due November 8th. But if for some reason things are still crazy there, we'll kind of reassess. It's going to be a crazy week because on Tuesday of this week is the elections. And so it's probably going to be a little bit nuts, but regardless of how it turns out, I'm just going to try to be as positive as possible, and I just got to roll with it, I guess. So hopefully, nothing's too crazy after the elections are done and we find out what's going to happen. So, all right. Well, I hope you all have a good week. I hope most of you are getting your power back and things are starting to get a little bit better. I know that was a tough week last week, so I hope things are getting better for most of you. And just email me with any questions and I will see you all next week for week 13.